Okay. Let's roll here. Interesting setup. What's unprotected? Nothing. This knight is going to have a rough day. He's going to be in for a rough road ahead here. This knight, no problems. I'm thinking knight f6, but might there be a reason behind playing first f5 like a Dutch? Although I didn't have good success with that the last time I played. I dropped a piece like in 3 moves, 4 or 5 moves. Anyhow, things were bad. My king had to run for the hills like over here. Okay, let's regroup here. d5, f5, knight f6, c5. Actually, this knight isn't going to be too big of a problem. Let's get my knight out. Let's see what white wants to do. Now this. I think c4 was the right idea. To meet c5, to meet the c5 move with d5. So this is could turn out to be like a well, I'm not quite sure. It could just be Sicilian. It could be Queen's Gambit decline type of thing, a Tarrasch. We might be seeing something like that, actually. But there's something to be said, I think, for this move right now, because guess what I'm ready to do? Bishop b5 is a move that's available. Giving a check and forcing the king. I think kingside castle is needed right now, otherwise bishop check. So let's see how aware my opponent is. Maybe c4 is another idea. Knight here, probably not a good idea because of obstructing this c-pawn. So I think castle. In fact, on move 2, both of us could have castled. As soon as this knight is out, I could castle, drop my king on my rook if you're unfamiliar with this variant of chess. Now, this is probably not a good idea. So how to take advantage of that? Is there even a way to do that? I don't know. Knight here. What is my light square bishop going to do? It's kind of stupid. Bishop here, knight here. Bishop here, pawn takes. Can they hang on to it? Maybe. Well, pawn push. There might be something with that. Pawn push, pawn push, pawn push. Chase the knight away. Expand on the queen side. I think that works, actually. Now, decision time. Do I play here or here first? Earlier in the stream, I was emphasizing like crazy the idea of retaining flexibility when there's pawn tension. Maybe I should take my own advice. Alright, I'm going to do that. b5. I could castle. My opponent can castle. In fact, depending on the setup you start out with in Fischer Random, you could castle on move 1, depending on how the king and rook are positioned. Okay. What about still this? This seems like very caveman-like, but I think there's a purpose to it. Expand on the queen side. I have my queen here. I have my rook here. I have my bishops guarding these squares. I'm not really thinking about castling. There's no need to do that right away. And now that there's pressure on this pawn, I don't want to do this because my rook is unprotected. If I do this, takes, I have to capture away from the center. What else? I think I like this. One of the natural type of reactions to a pawn push like here with c4 is to break at the center at this d5 point, but there's not enough support for that. Now, one thing I guess white could be looking into is try to get a knight on b5 with a4, b4, knight b5, but I doubt that that knight could be retained. So now what? Okay, catching up with time. They could castle. I have a giant space advantage, and this is a problem. And I think the diagnosis here is getting all the way back to the decision to play the knight to c3. This pawn can't play. That's a problem. The queen doesn't have as much scope for as long as this pawn is still sitting there. So now what? Pawn push. I still can't do anything with this rook. If I play here, this drops this pawn. Push here takes. I can't even recapture. Could take here, but we end up in a symmetrical position. I still have a little bit of space over here. I'm dropping this pawn maybe. I think I want to keep these guys sitting and get developed. And how do I develop? Maybe knight here. Something to do with that. Knight here could be a difficult piece to get rid of. Maybe I want to keep him around on one of these two squares to challenge on e5. Or queen here. No, there's eventually a rook move after a trade and queen is hit. Okay, let's try this actually. Bishop here, knight d7. Okay, let's get more development in. He's my bad bishop anyhow. Okay. That was a strong knight right here. And my bishop needs to get working. I'm pointing right here. There might actually be a fishing pole out of this setup. Can you believe it? The queen swinging over laterally or not. Let's get castled. The pawn structure has been a bit more clarified, so I have a better idea of what it is I want to do. As soon as this bishop moves, this knight is unprotected. There might be pawn takes, but then again, after c takes b, the queen is watching over the knight. Notice I'm keeping my opponent guessing here. Let's get my rook here. What am I going to do? Take? Maybe push? Push again? That actually is a possibility, and that would squash what? Let's play here. I'm getting ready for it. Takes and then the knight. Recapture. Watch over this. Pawn takes pawn is the threat. If pawn takes, now I recapture with my queen, and then not only is the knight, but also this pawn is hit. The knight is dead. Something's dead. I'm getting material. Lots of it, and this is a very committal move. Lots of weaknesses are created because of this. h3, h4, f3, f4, and the 7th rank is more vulnerable. I get a rook here, the king is cut off from the action if we're entering an endgame. Excuse me, if we are entering an endgame. I don't know what to suggest for white. They started to move fast. I think they were trying to not lose on time, right? This is definitely something you have to be concerned about. Let's get my knight in there. I guess that pawn could be taken soon. Oh, but actually, no, I just push here. I continue going with my majority. Get my pawn up to b2, and that's going to be TKO. Let's take here and make sure of what? Let's watch over this a little bit. And I'm just going to get going here. Even if it's challenged, I'm just going to ignore it, I think. Oh, there's that move. I'm going to take this because I'm pretty sure I can. And rook takes. I just get these guys going here. They're very, very strong. Pawns, pigs. These pawns are pigs here. Rook up, pawn push is available, and the rook is actually trapped. And get the other one. Hang on, no back rank mates. My rook is there to defend. No back rank mates. No back rank mates. Looking for mate. On f2. If the bishop moves close to mate, stop the king move. I could have also picked up the bishop. Now that's mate. Okay. Good game. Lots of fun. I really do enjoy the Fischer Randoms. Let's see about things here. Let's back up. I would really consider already at this point when I play knight f6 to treat it like a regular chess position and consider this c4 move. To have a good response to c5, I think d5, and then knight c3. I mean, the knights are still in their original positions, right? Being on the g8, b8, g1, b1 squares. So consider c4 here. I'm able to strike at the center. I'm grabbing more control over the center, and this move is off. You can't do it. Queen pawn like opening. Do not obstruct the c pawn. I don't think that this arrangement here is any exception to that general rule you could be running with. So don't do knight c3. Instead, what can you do? You could play c4 yourself. That's one thing. Although there's a problem with that, isn't there? If you do c4, I could capture, and then your c pawn is actually in a pin. I wonder if this is actually turning out to already be a bit awkward for white as soon as I play c5. I wonder what a computer would be saying about this position right here, what the suggestion would be for white. I wouldn't be surprised if it would be suggesting c4 right here, right now. Maybe this is I wouldn't say a necessity, but definitely consider it. c4. Having pawns side by side in the center, the ideal placement is an e4 d4 structure, but don't undervalue a d4 and c4 structure either. Both are quite good. Again, this being the ideal one, e4 d4, but also d4 c4, having pawns side by side. My opponent is voicing that they thought about the c-pawn push, but I think at that point it wouldn't have helped too much. Yeah. Yeah, this is the point that it really wouldn't have helped. So if you're not able to get the c-pawn involved, what are your alternatives? It's like, okay, maybe use the c-pawn to support your own center, but then this bishop has a problem, right? He's not going to be too happy about things. So that's my early suggestion. I just have a ton of space right here, and maybe it's better that you actually keep this knight around somehow. You do get the bishop pair, but I have a lot of development here, and get my bishop out, get castled, and things are real smooth. The space advantage is good in so many instances. Maybe there's a try for takes, captures, and then get this pawn going, but I'm not really seeing that. Actually, maybe right here is an opportunity to take, because I can't recapture like this because of the bishop move here. You're getting some material. So I wonder if this is a better way to put up some resistance. B takes C, B takes C, and then get your rook over here. To be honest, I think I'll be able to end up getting control over this and maybe even subjecting this a3 pawn to some pressure, right? Okay, yeah, it did turn out to be a cramped position right here because of the queenside pawn moves. But anyhow, good game. Let's close out.